Well, Qatar was crashes, chaos and floodlights, and here one big, great, massive tower. And I tell you what, there may be a few cowboys around the MotoGP paddock, but none more so than here in Texas. Welcome to After the Flag.
Where's your rider? Scott Redding. Scott, thanks a lot for
my last year racing.
Now the riders need a helper, not just for the riding on the track, but also media commitments like this one. This is what's known as the pre-event on the Thursday before the Grand Prix. Basically, the world's media have a chance to see the riders doing something a little bit silly, making a fool of themselves. Let's meet Nick here. Nick, come in. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon there.
Obviously, you're working with Nicky Hayden, so you're the guy who's basically looking after Nicky and overseeing events like this, I suppose. Which is slightly crazy.
Yeah, we don't have to do the events all the time, but sometimes when he does the event, I join him and see everything's okay for him. And,
So what's your sort of job on a typical Grand Prix weekend away from stuff like this? You're looking after his helmets, visors, just about everything,
helmet,
really?
visors, everything that comes around. So just have to make sure he doesn't get anything to do, or he can just concentrate on the weekend. So yeah.
And here he goes. Right, here he goes, and the Kentucky kid himself. Let's just watch and see.
We're gonna have a good laugh here.
He should be good at this, shouldn't he? He should be decent because he's from these parts.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, he's not from Texas, from Kentucky, but yeah. Let's see what he got.
Oh, well, wasn't it the best of starts, you have to say. That was a perfect one.
Yeah.
Well done.
Got it.
Obviously, as you can see, look, you've got riders lining up. You've got Colin Edwards there, Josh Herron's involved, Stefan Bradl. Kevin Swans is here as well. Let's go for, that was a particularly good one. Let's see if we can get a better one.
Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. Always in for a good laugh.
He's a fun guy to work with, though, isn't he?
That's really nice, yeah.
Do you notice with an average rider, it's more or less difficult to work with them, depending on how they're getting on the racetrack?
I'm not sure. We're working now together for 4 years and it seems to work out pretty good. So before I worked with his brother, Roger Lee.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it works out pretty good because I think if you don't get along, you're not, you need to have a good relationship with them, yeah.
The funny thing is you must be busier than the riders on a day like this. You've got all the preparation to do.
Yeah, on a Wednesday, and actually in Europe I arrive on a Tuesday because I also drive his motorhome in Europe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I clean the motorhome inside outside really good. So when he arrives, everything is like perfectly clean, and it's like stepping into a hotel room actually.
Rabat looks very, very serious.
The Americans should win this easy now.
Well, Colin Edwards certainly showing that he's got experience with this sort of thing. We said he was from these parts, didn't we? Been a bit of an emotional morning actually for Colin because he announced his retirement over there in the media centre with the press conference this morning. So he can just enjoy himself now, really, I suppose.
I don't even know how to say it. I've rehearsed it I don't know how many times. 2014 will be my last year racing motorcycles.
Wow.
I am talk with my beautiful wife, and it's
Sincerely, I'm very, very sad about the news because Colin is one of my best friend in the paddock and between all the riders. I'm sad because he's a great guy, a great rider, and so we will miss him. But anyway, like he said, it's a long season to stay together, and I hope that Colin remain also in the future in some other work on some other things.
We started in GP together. We were rookies together, and even sometimes now we'd be flying back to America, and I think, wow, man, that guy's got a lot of energy. He's given a lot to this sport, so I think, like everybody said, he can really be proud of his career. It's clear he's got a lot to look forward to.
Colin can be proud about his career. He started in the World Championship when I was 2 years old, so...
No, we could not have a word with Colin Edwards, though, could we, on this special weekend? Is that a little bit emotional earlier on announcing the retirement?
Yeah, for sure it was. I think anybody that's I've been doing this for 36 years racing motorcycles, and my whole life has been motorcycles. So, yeah, to know that it's going to come to an end, but you know, I'll be involved somehow, some way, and you aren't going to get rid of me that easy.
Well, the last time After the Flag came to Texas, we had a slight cowboy theme, though. This year we thought we'd mix things up a bit and show you a bit of other American culture, the custom motorcycle. And for that, we've come to the hand-built motorcycle show by Revival Cycles in downtown Austin with the rider who arguably is a little bit custom himself, Scott Redding. Scott, thanks a lot for joining us. Obviously, a little bit of a reference to your tattoos. Now, we can't see all of them. We probably can't even show all of them on camera, but you yourself, you like custom bikes at all? Is that anything which you've looked into much?
Not something that I always look at, but like when I come to a place like this and see all the bikes like this, it's actually interesting to see how much work and detail actually goes in.
And obviously you yourself arguably have a very custom bike, only 4 of them in the world, the RC V1000R, but yours is even more custom because you've got Nissin brakes, Showa suspension, so truly a unique bike. I mean, what do you make of the bike so far? You've had one race with it.
I'm actually happy with the bike, to be fair. I know we're lacking a little bit of power, but I mean, overall I'm really happy with the chassis. I wasn't happy in the first 2 tests in Malaysia. I was really not settling, struggling to stop the bike, you know, because I wanted to be fast straight away, but I had to take the steps, but I didn't want to. I wanted to be fast, and I couldn't really get there. And then when we got to the Qatar test, for me that was when I really clicked with the bike. Just getting faster and faster and more relaxed, and then in the race I was just felt in my comfort zone.
I think one thing which you mentioned after the Qatar race was you seemed short on fuel, which I think was a bit surprising for us because we thought, okay, you've got I think it's 22.3 litres, but it's still more. Honda said it was going to be enough. I mean, how did you notice that? Did it just turn the power down for you?
The team said to me before the race, you have to save fuel, and it's the first time I've ever had to do that. And actually we was not too low because I was saving fuel already like 3rd or 4th lap. When I started to get a rhythm, I was just trying to save fuel. You know, you need to turn down the power of the engine to save the fuel, but you know, we're also underpowered, so we need to try and turn the power up a little bit to try and catch the group in front of us.
You spoke to me once. You were still in Moto2 and you did a test on a MotoGP bike. Now, it wasn't the one which you're on now, but I remember clearly you talking about just how powerful these machines are, not just under acceleration, but I think also the air stopping. For anyone who's never been on a GP bike, how would you explain that sensation?
It's one of them things that's hard to say. It's like, my first impression is like when you first go on the roller coaster and you get that burst of power and like, you know, you're almost scared. It takes the air out. You're like, whoa, sort of thing. And that was my feeling. And the first lap, I went down the straight in Mugello, and I was like, you know, how am I going to ride this? But then, slowly, when you get used to it, like now the bike doesn't feel so fast.
Yeah.
But that first initial feeling is like, whoa, there's a lot of power there. Then you're braking, and it feels like, you know, you got like 100 kilos trying to sort of push you through the front of the bike, but then at the same time, you're trying to get sucked off the bike. It's just a weird sort of feeling that I've never experienced before. Moving
on to maybe your personal life. You're probably living most of our dreams. You've come up through the system. You are now a MotoGP rider. I mean, how's your life changed? I mean, I know it's only been one race, but do you feel different? Are you almost more relaxed now that you've made it up into this class? Yeah, it's like you've made it, but you've not made it. You know, you've made it to the class, but you haven't achieved what you want to achieve. The biggest thing that I noticed, like my lifestyle is not different. I'm always the same person who I am. I'll go motocross, I'll go traveling in the camper, you know, that's my style. But the thing for me is when I do a lot of things, I get more respect from people, which I'm not really happy about, you know, and like Moto3 riders and Moto2 riders should all get the same respect. But when you come to MotoGP, it's like you're someone special, and at the end of the day, you're not. You're the same as the other guys in Moto2. Everyone's trying to get to that same target, is to be MotoGP world champion. So, you know, it's nice now that I've got that a little bit extra respect. You can turn up a bit later and it's a little bit more relaxed. But not too after the flag. No, not too after the flag, because obviously you was the one making the detours. But I mean, them things is, you know, it's a bit easier, and I mean, you get a few more chicks on your case and stuff. But you know, I'm just an easygoing guy. You're on the RCB 1000R, as we said. I've heard things about that next year Alvaro's bike might be yours. Is there, how much truth is in that? In the contract, I'm supposed to, I have to make good results. So for me, it's to beat Nicky. And in the contract, I'm supposed to get a factory bike next year, of course, with good results. So we have to see if it actually comes out. You know, that's what I want to be on. That's really the main reason I am where I am this year, is to take a year with this production racer, you know, sort of learn the tires, learn the brakes, you know, learn electronic, and then get the proper bike. And I mean, I hope that I get it, and I'm willing to work hard all this year to achieve that. Before you go, anything you see on these bikes which you think could improve yours? I mean, fuel tank looks pretty big on that one. I'm quite liking the seat, if I'm fair. Yeah. You know, a bit more comfort. Maybe you could get some more weight on the rear tyre with that, if I'm honest. Good, good. Well, we'll chat with the guys and see if we can bring you on later on. Thank you very much for your time, Scott. Thank you. Well, Marc Marquez was the main story here in Austin, though arguably there's a much bigger talking point. Greg, can we have the lights on, please?
Yes, we can indeed.
It's this. It's not very often that we see people confused, but poor Jorge Lorenzo had a bit of a moment of madness. He was there in 5th position on the grid, turned up, they switched the red lights on, and he just got it completely wrong. False start, stopped right there next to Stefan Bradl, restarted again, and then had the drive-through. It was a disaster for Jorge Lorenzo. It was pretty much the same for his teammate Valentino Rossi as well, doing very well in the race, but big problems with the front tyre. But Marc Marquez, incredible, absolutely unstoppable, won the race by 4 seconds. He was riding with that harder option rear tyre, and no one else managed to race on that. Dani Pedrosa, his teammate, chose the soft. Again, very good race, but was just unfortunately overshadowed by Marc Marquez. Dani Pedrosa finishing 2nd, though. A big story comes from the Ducati camp. Mixed fortunes, because Cal Crutchlow had a crash. He came in, wasn't very happy with the medium rear tyre, switched to a soft. Again, that's something unusual for a race, but as he went out, suffered a big crash, unfortunately damaged his right hand. Though Andrea Iannone running in 3rd position for a long time. Unfortunately, he also then had problems with the front tyre, and it was Andrea Dovizioso, antibiotics, not feeling well for the last couple of days, but he got Ducati's first podium of 2014. Obviously the team ecstatic, Gigi Dall'Igna doing the work there. We had some fun with the satellite bikes as well. There wasn't an awful lot of overtaking, but it was Bradley Smith, Pol Espargaro, they went head to head at times. Stefan Bradl as well, mixing it up. He probably would have liked to finish a bit better from 3rd place. But again, the story was Marc Marquez ahead of Dani Pedrosa and Andrea Dovizioso, finishing off with a nice photo on the podium.
So 2 races in, 16 to go, and maximum championship points for Marc Marquez, 50 out of 50. It's a Repsol Honda 1-2. Valentino Rossi then jumps up into 3rd position ahead of Andrea Dovizioso. And that's for Jorge Lorenzo, of course. Only the 6 points then, 44 behind Marc Marquez, and we're only 2 races in.
Well, that's it from another show of After the Flag. Now, our guest may not have had the races that they wanted, but we do hope that they had a good time on the show, as we wish that you enjoyed it as well.
Yes, we'll be back then with a double special next time from Argentina and also from Jerez, and we're about to be run over by a golf buggy, so suggest we get out of the way.